Hey everyone, Carlopix here, and today I thought I'd do something a little bit different, showcasing kind of a new item here. I like how I took the wrapper off and it looks like an egg, but this is that new loop yarn that's kind of all the craze, and I guess the main use of this loop yarn is to knit, but without needing needles or anything. So for me, for someone who cannot knit but loves the idea of knitting, this sounded really cool. So I got that. I got this from our local craft store, and I guess it's loopy, but they say tones, I guess because it's like a kind of gem tone. But anyways, yeah, it was 150 grams in this ball, and I love how it says, you know how you usually look on here to see what size needle or crochet hook you need? And it says, no needles or hooks required. Woohoo! So that works for me. It seems really easy. And today I'm going to be making a scarf. It's getting cold now in Australia. We're heading into fall. And I wanted a new scarf. So I said, why not? Let's knit one up. And yeah. So I guess we'll go ahead and get started. It's actually pretty simple. I made a cushion cover. That was my first project with this yarn, and it worked up so fast and so easy. I was like, wow, I'm a pro knitter now. Not really, but it was fun to think like that for a few seconds. But yeah, for this project, and this is going to be a quick tutorial. For this project, you are going to need your loop yarn. You're going to need, I don't know what that is on there. You're going to need scissors for sure. Now I'm still using a crochet hook, and that's just my preference because when you're weaving in your ends, it allows me to grab it and pull it through stitches. So that's the only reason for that. You can use your fingers, whatever you're comfortable with. So that's it. So let's get started with this. All I know is the 2 stitches in knitting, and that's knit and purl. I'm pretty sure there are more. And with this scarf, you can do it all with knit, but I want it to be cool and kind of do both. I'll be doing both knit and purl, trying to give it like a nice ribbed effect. We'll see how that goes, but that's the idea of what I'm going to try to do today. But to get started, you want to cut open, actually, 2 loops at the end. Once you find your end in this big, it kind of looks like a rat's nest or a bird's nest. What's a rat's nest, really? I don't think I've ever seen an actual rat's nest, but that's quite a common term, isn't it? Anyways, for this one, you're going to count out however many loops you need, but for the scarf, I'm going to count out 12. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. I think I counted that right. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Yep. So that's how wide my scarf is going to be. And yeah, it's actually pretty easy from here on. Basically, all you're going to do is pull the loops through the previous row of loops, and that's how you build your project. So I'm just going to go ahead and get started, you guys. So working the first row, you're just going to pull a loop through every loop here. So you're just going to pull a loop from your working yarn, and you're going to pull 1 loop through each of these 12 loops. And it may seem slow, but I'm just uncoordinated. As you get further on into the project, you're probably going to be worried whether or not you're skipping loops, but it's really easy to tell. I'd say every couple of rows, you're just going to flip it over to the back just to see if you have skipped any. Like the loop will just be dangling there. And then you'll know that, okay. And then you just, unfortunately, you have to pull it out, but it's quite easy to see. So that's why I recommend doing it every couple of rows so you don't have to pull out a whole lot. Okay, so that is row 1 complete. Boom. And you're just pulling row 1, you're pulling the loops from the back towards the front. And that's the knit stitch actually, guys. Very simple. It's gonna look like crap until you get a few rows under your belt. I think anyways, but that's the first row. Now onto row 2. This is where this is your base row, right? So onto row 2 is where you're actually gonna start working the pattern. So I pull my yarn so that it goes in the direction that I'm working. So we'll go back this way. Now you're always, well, from what I've learned, you're always going to skip the first loop. And because you'll pick it up on the next row. So skipping this first loop, you're going to pull 2 from back to front. So you're going to do 2 knit stitches. And then you're going to move your working yarn to the front. And then you're going to pull front to back for 2 stitches. And this is your purl stitch. So 2 purl. And then you're going to move it to the back and you're going to do 2 knit. And then so forth. 2 purl. Move it to the front. 2 purl. It sounds complex, maybe, but it's not. It really isn't. And this, man, it's unbelievable how quickly this works up. But yeah, sorry. Let me go back to finishing this row. And you'll see I have 3 stitches left over. You're just going to pull all 3 stitches from back to front. So you're going to do knit for the remaining 3 stitches. And if that helps you, every time you get to the end of the row, you should be doing 3 knit stitches. For this particular pattern, I should say. Just for this pattern. So 3 knit, and it's going to go all over the place until you, build up some, your working piece gets longer, so. But that's the second row, you guys, already done, and it's only been a few minutes, and that's me going slow. I feel like I say that every time I go slow, but I think in actuality I do go slow and not fast. But we're going back this way, so you never flip your piece, which is kind of cool. You always know which is the front and which is the back while you're working on it. So again, working back this way, you're going to do the same stitches. You're going to follow along, but every row you're going to skip that first stitch. So here we did 2 knit stitches. So you're just going to do 2 knit. So that's pulling it back to front. And then 2 purl, which is front to back. And then back to front for 2 more knit. And then front to back for 2 more purl. Like, you get to notice what the stitches look like after a while. You can tell the difference between a knit stitch and a purl stitch. And then as you can see, there are only 3 stitches left. So I'm going to do all of them as knit stitches. So back to front, and you're picking up that one that you skipped in the previous row. So there you go, back to front. And there you go. You don't really have to tighten these every row because they will kind of self-tighten. But I like to do it when I'm first starting out because it helps me define like the different stitches. But this seems to be working pretty well, and it's so soft. But yeah, that's pretty much it. It's those 3 rows that make up this whole pattern. So I'm going to do a couple of rows with you and then we'll come back to this. So remember, skip the first stitch. We're going this direction now. Skip the first stitch. And I've got 2 knit stitches. And 2 purl. and 2 knit, 2 purl, and then 3 knit at the end. And there we go. So there's that next row. I did find I was scared at first that I would be dropping stitches because I wasn't pulling them tight, but that's not the case. But like I said, every few rows you want to check that you're not dropping any stitches. So these ones, the purl stitches, they are going to stick out towards the back, but if you have a look here, there are no random loops hanging. So yeah, I do recommend you do that every couple of rows. So I'm going to go back this way. I reckon this row is going to be boring for you, so you skip the first loop and knit. And purl. And knit. And purl. And I was very paranoid with my first project. Of course, my first project wasn't a simple project, of course. But I always kept thinking that I'd miss a stitch, seriously. It was like my greatest fear. Miss a stitch or, you know, miss one of these loops on the working yarn. But yeah, that's the next row all done. And as you can see, it's working up pretty fast. What is this, 4 rows or something like that? But yeah, with this, and see, I did skip one, you guys. I skipped a loop. So you can quickly see that something's wrong. So I'm just gonna pull that back out and rectify that. So that's purl, purl, and then knit, knit, knit. Yeah, like I said, I was so paranoid about missing stitches or loops, and yeah, I go and miss one. So I think that was a self-fulfilling prophecy there. But yes, it's looking pretty good. I'm going to put the rest of this on time lapse. You're going to keep going until, you know, whatever length you want for a scarf. I'm not too sure what the average length of a scarf is, but yeah, once I see it, I'll be happy, I'm sure. But I'm just going to keep going with that. I'm going to time lapse through it, and then I'll come back to you at the end to show you how to bind off. It's easier than you think. So I've used up one whole ball. To be honest, I guess I'd like my scarves a little bit longer, so I wish I had a second ball. But that being said, this is all I've got, and I'm happy enough with it, let's say. So if I make another one, I'll definitely use 2 balls. I think it could be a little bit longer. But it is now time to bind off. So let me show you how to do that on this project. So to bind off, it's actually pretty easy. You're just going to pull a loop through from the back, like, a knit stitch. You're going to do that for the first 2 loops. And then you're going to pull, so the 2 loops that you just did, you're going to pull the second loop through the first loop. Just like so. So now you're 1 stitch less. And then you're going to do the same here. You're going to do the knit stitch because that's what you've done in the previous rows. And then you're going to pull this second loop through the previous loop. And you're just going to keep doing that all the way across. But I'll go through and show you the whole thing because it's not that wide of a piece. So now, because we were doing purl stitches, the next loop, I'm going to continue to do a purl stitch. Oh, I skipped a stitch. Always got to check. So that was in from the back, and pull the second loop through the first loop. There we go. Now we're okay. And so this next loop is going to go from the front to the back, do a purl stitch, but you're going to do the same thing. Pull the second loop through the first loop, just like that. So another purl, and you're just going to do this all the way across until you get to 1 loop remaining. Okay, so we've done purls, now we're going to do 2 knit. And you can see it gives you a pretty good straight edge, I think. I guess. I'm no knitter. You just pull it through. And purl. So we go front to back. And pull through the previous. Front to back. Pull through the previous. I've dropped a stitch, oh no. So you can, it's really easy to tell when something's not right. So I'm just gonna back it up a little bit because I dropped this stitch here. So it was a purl, so it just went from front to back. There we go, it's fixed. And you can continue like nothing happened. You didn't see anything, guys. Nah, it's really easy to fix the mistakes because 1, you can easily see them, and then 2, it's, you don't have to work any magic to fix them. So that was 1 purl. We're going to do the next purl, front to back, and then pull through the previous loop. And then back to front, we just have 3 knit stitches left. Pull through, back to front, pull through the previous loop. And then with this one, front to back, and pull through the previous loop. So then as you can see here, we only have 1 loop left. And what you'll just need to do is, I'm going to cut all of these, but say you have a lot of yarn left on your project, you want to cut like maybe 3 or 4 loops so that you have a tail to weave in. But I'm just going to, well, no, I'll cut 4 loops. Don't need to have the extra. And then you're going to cut these loops open. Very easy to do. And then you're just going to pull the tail through the final loop. And that's it. Your bind off is complete. So that's that's pretty much really, this is all done. The first time I did this, I was so excited. I was like, I can't believe I knitted something, like it looks like knit, right? And I was like, I can't believe I did it in such a short amount of time. This project so far, so without weaving in the two ends, which will probably take me a couple minutes, this took me a total of 2 hours, and that includes a bathroom break. Yeah, I have to go to the bathroom a lot now these days. But anyways, yes. So to weave in your ends, it's just really easy. I don't know how to do it the proper way, but you definitely want to take it through a couple of stitches. And that's why I have the hook, because it comes in handy to reach through those stitches and pull the yarn through. But you can totally use your fingers as well. So like for this one, I like to go down the middle of the knit column and blend in quite nicely. You want to, sew that in just a little bit, just to make sure that it's secure. And then you'll cut off the excess. So you see how long 4 got you. You could even just cut 2 loops, if you want to save some of that yarn. But since that was the end of my ball, it doesn't really matter. So we cut that off and bam, that is done. And then we do the other end, and then I will show you guys the finished product. Yeah, I really can't get over how quick and easy this is. Participate. Okay. Yeah, I can't get over how quick and easy this is. Yeah, especially for someone who can't sew. Or knit. Someone who can't knit. But yeah, just like the other end, you want to kind of weave this through stitches. Just go a little bit of the ways and then cut it. And then that's pretty much your finished project. Boom, there you go. So that's it. I wanted to try this one. Like, I've never tried this pattern before, but I thought it would be cute. And I thought maybe even reversible would be kind of cute. And it is. And I like this yarn. The variegated colors is quite nice. So as you can see here, it's not too long, but it's long enough, I think, especially for my first try. So you'll have to, I say, maybe purchase more yarn than you think you need. But I think most people who craft with yarn already know that bit of information. But yeah, give this a try, or if you have given this a try, let me know in the comments, and let me know if you've done more than just make a scarf. Have you done anything really creative with it? This is the second project I've made, and I'm actually pretty happy with it. It's very fast. Like I said, it only took 2 hours to do all of this, and that's not a straight 2 hours. It was a lot less than 2 hours. I'd like to say maybe an hour and a half to do all of this from beginning to end. So that's pretty good. If you need a quick scarf, if you need a quick gift, maybe this loop yarn is the way to go. So yes, that is my craft for today. I hope that you have enjoyed. Let me know if you have any questions, and yes, I will do my best to answer those. But yeah, I hope that you have enjoyed this video, and yeah, I will see you in the next one. Bye.